Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome the club president, Mr. Peter Gordon, to say a few words.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this gathering of the faithful and those who love the Western Bulldogs Footy Club. I thought it'd be a good idea, returning after 16 or 17 years to this position, to ask the AV people to flash up a picture of how I've spent some of the time in the interim. So could I ask that you have a look at a picture of me and my son Patrick at the 25-minute mark of the final quarter of the 2010 preliminary final against St Kilda. I don't know whether that's the moment, and I hope I won't embarrass either of these guys, when Jer missed that shot at around about the 25-minute mark, or Lindsay Gilby's shot just fell short. But I'm sure, can I ask for a show of hands as to how many people remember that fateful 5 minutes? You will notice on our faces all of the fun-loving, carefree, joie de vivre and happy-go-lucky sense of fun, which is such a foundation of our devotion to this club. I thought to myself this afternoon, and I was looking at that shot, whether that moment was more painful than being sort of 8 goals down midway through the second quarter against the Saints last year. But it's a different kind of pain, isn't it? 30 minutes earlier, Patrick and I had actually gone outside the G. And if you remember that being a warm spring night, we're all outside the G at three-quarter time, where all the smokers go to have their three-quarter time puff. And their smoke was in the air and it made an eerie atmosphere. And we were looking at each other thinking, crikey, we might actually be about to see the Bulldogs in a grand final. But it wasn't to be. Just as it hadn't been to be in 2011, in 2009, in 1997, 1998, 1992, 1985. For me, over the last few months, it's been great to be back at the Whitten Oval, back meeting people who love the Bulldogs, running into old faces around the place, many of whom I haven't seen in 15 or 16 years, but who are just salt-of-the-earth great people. People like Lou Thompson, Noel Kinneborough, Billy Hector, Glennis Rhodes on reception, Gudrun Goddard, who was a secretary there when I first walked into the joint in 1989, Ben Bradley, and Ronnie Palmer, who was very important in the fight back. They're down in the Pound Cafe. Across in the Elite Learning Centre in the footy department, they've been telling me it's our best pre-season ever. The very same line I've heard every year of my previous presidency in the 1990s. Up on the executive level, the cash flow's tight. The membership and the reserve seat sales are feeling the strain of a pretty indifferent 2012 on field. People up there poring over Excel spreadsheets ahead of what is now tomorrow's important meeting of the AFL on equalisation. Tomorrow, Simon and I head up to AFL headquarters to argue the toss. In what's going to be a completely unique experience for me, it seems like the Commission might actually be on our side. Every now and then over the past few months, I've got to the Pound Cafe and I've run into someone like John Schultz or Tony Liberatore. And like many of you, when I see them, I still feel like I'm in the presence of Bulldog royalty. The other night, we had a great night at the opening of the museum. I got to meet up with Alan Stoneham and Stephen Power, which on its own made my night. I thought to myself that when they die, those guys should be preserved and be exhibits in the museum. A bit like Farlap. I thought to myself, in its theme song, Geelong claims to be the greatest team of all. Hawthorn claims to be happy. We're a happy team at Hawthorn. Carlton claims to be the team that never lets you down. And another team, of course, proclaims that the premiership is a cakewalk. By the way, if anyone knows what a cakewalk actually is, see me later. Those claims, of course, are not for us. Instead, the central core promise of our theme song is to come out snarling. To bite and to roar and to give our very best. I thought about singing that line, but I thought I'd spare you. We, of course, may interpret what the term come out snarling means in different ways. Dan Lonigan clearly has his own interpretation of it. But we have bitten and snarled and nipped at the heels of football's most elite competition for decades now. And our propensity to bite down hard and not let go is what defines us. In an industry that demands immediate results and watches closely for presidents, coaches and players to set a bar and then savage them when they fall short. We've these days also learned the need to manage and communicate expectations professionally. Managing the balancing act against hope and expectation and reality is not always easy. The reality is that footy's become big, big business and has made footy clubs more cautious and more introverted. Well, in a period in which I've just been overlooked in the election for a new pope and have had to settle for this position, I want to use tonight in that theme as a bit of a confessional. Do some penance and promise to mend our ways a little bit. Use this as an opportunity to purge, if you like, and shake off the confines of expectation and speak to you frankly. I could already hear our communications people, who I like to think of affectionately these days as the fun police, going green. But here we are. We are rebuilding. We probably won't win the flag this year. There's even a prospect that we won't play off. We've come off a tough year and we'll face more challenges this year in the future. We have the polarised issues of an ageing and yet a very young list and a shortage in between. And we're working on developing our key position players to fill voids up forward and down back left by Barry Hall and Brian Lake. In some games we might struggle to score freely. We've made some mistakes along the way and we're going to make some more. But the biggest confession of all, we are working hard to win. And we will continue to preach the virtues of patience to the football community, whilst inside the club don't believe for 1 minute that we are patient. We are not. We are impatient. We are constantly dissatisfied and we are constantly looking for another 1% edge in every aspect of what we do. Along the way, we will go into each game saying and believing, yes, we are going to win, even if it looks unlikely and even if it is unlikely. At the same time, we want to be able to enjoy the wins, and we want you, as our members and fans, to be able to enjoy the wins without having someone telling us to keep a lid on it. And when we lose games, even if we lose sometimes by a substantial margin, and we sometimes will, I want our people, especially our coach and our captain, to look the press and the cameras in the eye after that game and say, we weren't good enough today, we're fighting on. We may not be quite good enough yet, we're going to get there. Without them being expected to look like there's been a death in the family, because there won't have been. We'll just have lost a game of footy. If you know Macca, know Boydie, know the guys who play for us, and the men and women who get the team ready for action each week, you know their determination. So if from now on they don't look mortified in a press conference after a loss, it's not because any of us are content to lose, it's because they and we know that looking sad won't make you play better next week. Thinking about the defeat and learning from it will. Trust them and trust us to know that we're doing our best, constantly improving, constantly dissatisfied, constantly searching for excellence. For the same reasons, you won't hear me complain if when the game is over, they shake their opponent's hand and have a beer with him after the game, because it is still a game. Big business, but still a game. Enjoy our wins this year. Feel free, like Dan, to get shitty about our losses. And remember that whoever is doing the job for the club has been drafted by the club, has been hired by the club, or has been elected by the members to do that particular job because the club thought they were the best person to do that job, and they're doing the very best that they can for your club. Tomorrow, as I said, we continue an important dialogue with the AFL and other clubs about the fundamental economics of the competition. Our involvement in this debate is sometimes interpreted as a ball and chain on our capacity to lead, particularly off the field. But it's not. I refuse to believe that a heartland club of the league doesn't have a role to play in defining the future of a competition that we helped to create. There does need to be a change, an adjustment, not a revolution, but an adjustment in the way the AFL distributes the income that's generated by the game. And we do stress that, in particular, the current Etihad Stadium arrangements, in which we are one of 3 clubs who start off every year $1 million behind the rest, and over which my predecessor and Simon Garlick's had no say at all, needs to be changed. Both these changes are needed to bolster our current viability. The fact that we're currently focused on developing our youth, building our resource arsenal and building a brand of footy that matches it with the best, doesn't make us irrelevant to the competition or the debates, nor does it mean we're not focused on building every element of the business and helping ourselves as much as we can. You will see change and innovation in this club over the next 12 months. Not urgently, not for show, not for its own sake, but as it can be measured to make us bigger and better. And we need you to do your bit too. I want our members, past and present, to stick with us through thick and thin. Our journey so far has been a long one with little success. When you look at that picture of Patrick and I up there, we are two generations of Bulldogs supporters who've never seen a premiership, who've never seen us in a grand final, just like I imagine the vast majority of you fall into the same category. The things that make us love this club are deeper and more enduring than that. David Smorgan's been heard to say that being a Bulldog supporter is character building. What I think David means is that even though the journey has its ups and downs, it's helped define who we are as people in a way that I think is unique to this footy club. I was told a story the other day about Michael Klein, a Herald Sun photographer and a dedicated but often miserable Bulldog supporter. I was told that he's not going to encourage his one-year-old twins to support his club because he doesn't want them to experience the misery that he has. My own son Patrick, the same guy you saw up on the screen, once described me making him barrack for the Dogs as a form of child abuse. And as a man who these days is fighting for the hearts and minds of my 12-year-old twin daughters against a subversive and predictably dishonourable flank attack from their Geelong-supporting mother, I would say to Michael Klein, don't let your children miss out on the journey of being a Bulldog, because David Smorgan is right. Being a Bulldog is about character. We've always boxed above our weight, gotten up when we can't, played hurt and kept coming back. We've done it from the industrial heartlands of Footscray, supported by the people of the western region of Melbourne. Another part of our theme song goes, the day is getting closer when the Dogs rise up in the west. I like this prediction because, like religion and atheism and global warming sceptics, it can't be proven wrong until it's all too late. But I do want to leave you with this thought that when the Dogs do rise up in the west and make that last Saturday in September, think how much sweeter that will be for us than for a team that does make it with unlimited money and resources. Because when we get there, we'll have done it from a proud history of battling, boxing above our weight, without tanking, without violating the salary cap, in the right way and with the right spirit. And the Western Bulldogs will be successful, because I know that every player, every coach, every person at our footy club is working overtime to win. That's what we're here for, and that's what we'll do. You've got to sign up, you've got to pay your dues, you've got to come out snarling for the team. That's what it means to be a Bulldog. The next time we call upon our members and our fans to do that is, of course, on March 30, our round one clash with the Brisbane Lions, who didn't prove themselves to look like an easy conquest in their game last Friday night. All the more reason for us all to be there. I call on everyone to join me at 1:40 p.m, March 30, at Etihad Stadium, as we gather the Bulldog Pack for the Gathering the Bulldog Pack.